This video is brought to you by TS4U IT Engineering Bootcamp.
So I think the as part of the supporting and the production outages, if you face any production outages, I think you probably did. And how was the severity and what is it involvement and how did you respond to that actually? And did you guys have any process involved when you have a production outages? And then how did you actually troubleshoot the issues when you step into the process?
Okay, so basically we had usually do a lot of production outages time to time because sometimes it's the application, sometimes it's the infrastructure itself, or sometimes it's the AWS itself because we're heavily dependent on the AWS, right? So whenever we have this kind of issues, we basically have an on-call rotation system. So if it's within our office time, we basically have multiple eyes on the incident, or if it's outside of the office hours, or if it's on a weekend, we basically have the on-call engineer to look at that. Okay, so whenever we have this kind of issues, we basically have some checklist that, okay, what is happening from when it started, from where it started failing, and then now what's the status of the thing. Okay, so we just go through this preliminary checklist, and then we just check if the server is reachable or not. I go to the AWS console to see if the nodes are up or not, and then I check if our load balancer is up or not, and then we definitely need to check if our DNS servers are even up or not. Okay, so based on the preliminary checks, we try to identify where the issue is actually, or where the issue is coming from. So most of the time it's from the backend side. And once we had an issue when the service CDN service from the Fastly, they were actually down, and the entire systems like Facebook, Instagram, and all the things were down as well, and we were down as well because we were using the Fastly CDN. And yeah, that was a thing that we wanted to check, okay, if it's us or not. And then we just checked a lot of things and found out, okay, this is not us, this is definitely something else. And then we found out that our CDN was down. Okay, so in those cases, we don't have anything to do. We just route our request directly to our load balancer, and then all of our systems were up and running. And then whenever after maybe 6 hours, Fastly was back, and then we just routed our request through the CDN again. And yeah, we basically have our connection back. And in terms of backend going down, that is kind of more difficult to handle because we go to the backend and see, okay, where it's actually failing. Sometimes it's the database connection that is failing because our database is overwhelmed by all the requests. So what we usually do, just restart the database, and most of the time it goes back, and then restart all our backend so that the connectivity is actually restored between the database and the backend. So yeah, it basically fixes most of the time. And then after the fix, what we usually do is we actually go through all the logs that, okay, this is where things actually started went wrong. We go through the database performance logs and see if the timeline matches with the logs and the database performance metrics. Okay, and then we basically check, okay, for which kind of requests and for which search queries, or for which queries the database started to get all fuzzy. So we take that queries from that specific time from our logs, and then we just create a root cause analysis document, and then we basically add all of our timelines, to add all of our screenshots, all the requests that were going at that moment, all the SQL queries that were run at that moment. And then we just try to identify, okay, this is what happened, and in order to fix it in the future, what we need to do so that we don't even face it in the upcoming future. And then we just share the upcoming document, the RCA document, with our client if it's a client-based application, or we just submit it onto our infrastructure team so that everybody can go through, and we then propose a solution to our developer team that say, hey, we faced this kind of issue. Do you have any inputs to fix it? And then, yeah, we just go back and forth, and then the product team actually like create some new tickets to fix this issue in the future. And yeah, this is how we do it.
Yeah, this is very nice. You said RCA, we call the RCA. So do you join the RCA meeting as well? Like after all of this?
Definitely. It helps a lot to identify next issues.
Because sometimes it takes like the days to figure it out things, and then it cause a lot of the team to involve to identify. So yeah, definitely we do the RCA as well. All right, so